just why is Putin still talking about Prigozhin's death? Well, I think we can get some insight into just why Putin can't seem to let go of the late Wagner leader. Let's get into it and break it down. First off, we've got some footage that I want to take a look at that illustrates from 1 month ago, right? Prigozhin's memorial, right? That have popped up all over following his death in a plane crash. And you can see here that there is no shortage of mourners here. You can see that he has a number of both civilians, or at least men in civilian clothes, as well as military members who appear to be paying tribute to the late leader. Now, bear in mind, Prigozhin was a war criminal for sure. You may recall the hammer that he iconically had his troops use, and then when the EU pointed out that it was an extreme war crime to do that sort of stuff to your own troops, he sent the EU a engraved hammer with the Wagner patch on it. So this was not a nice guy, but he was still a very wealthy man and very influential within Russia. This woman points out that, yes, he famously was not a soldier, not a military member, but actually came up through a network of restaurants, initially hot dog stands in post-Soviet Russia. Now, as I would like to point out to you guys, hot dogs is not a super lucrative business, though you certainly could become a large hot dog dealer, but hot dogs are distributed on every street corner. They are a very cash-heavy business, and if you're going to build a network of distributors on every street corner that deal exclusively in cash, there are other commodities that one might exchange in addition to hot dogs. And that would make you wealthy enough to purchase a large number of restaurants, catering companies, and other legitimate industrial interests.
Хорошо, что вот в таком месте, где не надо идти в атаку. А может быть, не было бы таких, как у Пригожина, и ему бы пришлось идти в атаку. И это было бы намного опаснее.
Kind of a weird rationale from that woman.
Большая потеря для России. Но я думаю, что мы ее ощутим всегда. Ну, как всегда, осознание потери.
Wow. This is a bold statement from this man who is publicly acknowledging that the loss of Prigozhin is a loss for Russia, but they'll realize the extent of the loss late, as usually happens. We'll all feel it later. I think that nobody's better now that he is here. He means here in the graveyard.
Что от того, что вот он здесь, лучше никому не стало из нас.
Remember, he had a lot of interests, not just in military affairs, but likely maintained a large business interest. A lot of these civilians may have worked with him far longer than he was ever the head of the Wagner group. Right, he talks about the fate of those who organized the 1991 coup. Now, real quick, I want to point out, guys, if you haven't checked out Strike Gum is my gum that I launched. It's a energy drink alternative, 90 milligrams of caffeine in each piece, 100 milligrams of alpha GPC, 0 sugar, 5 calories. If you are someone who takes those big sugar-heavy 200-calorie energy drinks, this is a great alternative. Best of all, 50% of the profits from this first production run, I'm going to donate to charities that support and help Ukrainian civilians who've been displaced in the conflict. So if you want to support Ukraine and get a great tasting energy drink alternative that's not $4 a piece, go to strikegum.com and get yours today. Okay, now let's talk about what happened after. Clearly, these mourners really recognizing who they felt Prigozhin was, but the government of Russia has other ideas. As you can see here, large numbers of Wagner Group graves are being demolished, turned into parking lots. You can see here that not long after Prigozhin's death and Wagner's disbandment, you can see that what just a couple of weeks ago was a Wagner memorial to his employees killed in Bakhmut and around other regions has now been completely demolished, turned literally into a parking lot. Why would Russia do this? Well, in large part, this is because you could see again, even more grave sites. The reason that the Russian government is doing this is pretty simple. They cannot have Prigozhin become a martyr, right? Living people are flawed. They're messy. They are they're prone to mistakes and gaffes and isolating you. But once someone passes, they become at times deified. And Prigozhin's no different, right? As we talked about, he's a war criminal, but the longer he's gone, the more the incompetence of the MOD stands in stark contrast to the record of Prigozhin, which again, as time moves on, is going to look better and better. As it stands even today, objectively, Wagner was the only military formation to make meaningful gains in the past year in Russia, for Russia. And so that's why Putin is coming out and talking about Prigozhin's death, alluding bizarrely that they claim they found grenade fragments of the victims on the plane, suggests a grenade detonated inside the aircraft. Right? The investigation has definitely ruled out external factors and implied in the plane crash victims may have been using drugs or alcohol, negligent handling of a grenade, and that they also uncovered 5 kilograms of cocaine in his mansion. And all of this bizarre stuff, there's a point to it, right? The point is that Putin needs to tell the pro-Wagner people out there that Prigozhin was not a hero, that he was killed with buffoonery, right? But for the record, guys, there's no independent evidence that this is the case. Then it seems like a pretty bizarre sequence of events, almost comical. But the idea that Prigozhin was a drunk who was killed in a stupid accident, being a dummy, well, that will help in Putin's mind to stop him from being deified, because Putin has a big problem, as it points out, that Wagner, while it may not exist in the same form that it used to, Wagner fighters still do, and they are being actively recruited, likely brought into, it seems like, the Russian National Guard, Rosguardia. This can be a problem, a tremendous problem, in fact, because you're taking some of the best fighters from this conflict, and you're going to give them not just arms and ammunition, but you're going to give them official recognition as members of the Russian National Guard. This is a huge risk for Putin, but he simply cannot afford to lose that level of combat power. So he needs to make sure that their loyalty to their late leader is as limited as possible. And this is part of that information operation, to embarrass him even in death. Anyway, guys, that's all I had for you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.